MPC3, it has officially been out for a few months at this point, and I thought I would give a discussion video, my thoughts, my overall experience on the MPC3 platform as it is today. And coming from like the MPC2 for years and then working in the MPC3 for the past couple months, let's have a discussion about it. So for the most part, I actually do like MPC3. Now, when it first officially launched, I did put out a video on how to downgrade to MPC2, and I have been noticing all the comments that come through on that video talking about how they're never gonna go to MPC3 or it's got massive problems. The workflow has changed too much between the two versions, and I fully get all that stuff. It's also interesting to see MPC3 be like official, even though in my opinion, it still kind of feels like a beta at this point. There's a lot of features that are missing. I mean, there's not even a computer version that you can connect with the actual MPC3 software. So if you wanted to move one of your projects over to something to use with VSTs like you could in the MPC2 version, you can't do that still as of a couple months of it officially being out. So it's kind of in this weird place, this weird like limbo where it was feeling like a full featured platform for beat production to where it's now in this weird like sort of finished, but there's still quite a few things that are missing in it, and also moving more towards an actual production environment. So I think this is actually what's interesting about MPC3 is I feel like Akai is truly pushing it more towards an actual production suite. MPC2 felt more of like a beat platform, like the hardware and even the software definitely felt a bit more geared towards you're gonna make a beat, then you could finish it in MPC2 if you wanted, but there's better options to finish it. Personally, in my opinion. MPC3, on the other hand, definitely feels more like the actual name of Music Production Center, the MPC. I feel like it's truly becoming more of the actual production center and trying to replace DAWs, especially with the arrangement view. Like that's obviously a huge change right there. And also the integration of audio tracks into the way this works now. These are massive overhauls and they feel, in my opinion, much better than how MPC2 is. So workflow wise, it is strange to come from MPC2 to MPC3, but I do feel like ultimately in the long run, it's going to be a better experience for people if they learn MPC3, with the caveat of all the things that are missing in it currently, which is kind of significant. So yeah, audio tracks, in my opinion, is a huge workflow change and opens it up so much more to being an actual music production center, because you can record tracks, vocals, guitar, bass, all that stuff directly into a sequence, then have other MIDI programs or MIDI plugins and that type of stuff kind of coexist comfortably. And that's what DAWs naturally do. As I'm sure all of you guys watching this are aware of, your DAW is a powerhouse when it comes to being able to combine a bunch of audio tracks and MIDI tracks and cobble them all together. That's what it does fantastically. So the MPC has kind of had one foot in that market and one foot into the beat making platform, hardware platform type of thing. And with 3.0, I really feel like they are trying to fully encompass the production side of things. Full on music production center in the 3.0. That's how I understand it from the way it's presented and the way Akai kind of talks about it. So I think that's good, personally. The problem though, is that MPC3 as of right now, a couple months or 3 months after the actual release, does not feel finished. It feels like a beta, which is unfortunate because even though MPC2 still had like bugs and all that stuff, the infamous note off bug and all that, it still felt a bit more stable. Actually felt a lot more stable in that 2.0 version than the 3.0 does. I've been using 3.0 a lot on the Key 61 and the Key 37 here, and a bit on the MPC1 Plus. And I have noticed crashes way more often with this platform than I did in MPC2. Now granted, I am using audio tracks like all the time. So my workflow is basically use some of the internal synthesizers, use some of the drum programs, and then start to use external synthesizers and track those into the audio tracks. Sometimes I'll track guitar, sometimes some vocals, that type of stuff. And I've had quite a few times where the system just straight up locks up, freezes, and then does a hard reset, reboots. And there's been a few times I forgot to save, and maybe I forgot to save for like 30 minutes and lost basically the majority of the beat. Now, that's on me for not saving, not being on top of keeping the project saved all the time. So I could work on that personally to fix that. But it's also just annoying to be in the middle of a production. You're in the vibe, you're like, oh, I'm gonna record this new audio track, and all of a sudden, cooked. Everything's lost that wasn't saved. You gotta reload it, and then also it takes a little bit of time to reboot, takes a little bit of time to reload the project. It is a vibe killer. Unfortunately. Again, I didn't experience nearly this level of crashes with MPC2, so it feels like a beta, honestly. The other huge problem in my workflow process is the lack of time signatures. Not that I'm always doing 6/8 or 3/4 or anything like that, or 7/8 or something like that. I do quite often work in 4/4 time, but when I do suddenly want to work in say 6/8 because maybe I'm playing guitar or something, it's out of the question. It's not possible with MPC3. I mean, you could do time correction and use like triplets. It kind of works that way, but like you just lose the niceties though of working in a time signature that is appropriate to the song. So it's ironic because they're trying to move this into more of a production center, like a true, legit Encompass production center, but it's missing one of the most obvious things that you need for a production suite, which is the ability to change time signatures. Kind of crazy. I mean, it's been a couple months since it's officially released and it's not in there. And I honestly don't know when. Akai has confirmed that it's coming into the software, but we just don't know when. So as a production suite, it's like, okay, this is not finished. I have actually upgraded every single MPC that I have except for the MPC1, which is right there, because I do like to write in 6/8 time when it comes to piano. So that one I have actually stuck with MPC2 specifically for that reason. But there's been a few times when I've been working in the writing room with the Key 61 and we've wanted to do a 6/8 track and we can't. So it's unfortunate. The other massive problem when it comes to a production environment tool that these are technically supposed to be is that there's still no PC/Mac companion tool. So with MPC2, as you know, you can load up the MPC2 software on the computer, and then you can put it into controller mode and they'll talk perfectly, and all of the controls and interface will feel like you're using it on the hardware, but it's on the PC, which means that you can also use audio units or VSTs and all that stuff. And it's very convenient, very nice for expanding your needs and maybe getting some additional tools that you don't have access to on just pure hardware. That is completely out of the question right now with MPC3. And again, it's just one of those things where it's like, when is this coming? And this kind of feels like a beta because I don't have access to this ability in the computer yet. And if you make something in MPC3, the projects themselves are not cross-compatible with MPC2 software on the computer. So you can't like make a project here on MPC3 and then bring it over to the computer to like, just use the MPC2 features. It doesn't work that way. It's completely incompatible. So that whole workflow right there is technically busted, and I would use that for certain processes to finish beats. So that's been out of the question for the past few months. There's some other things too, like visual EQ and better reverbs and all that aren't technically in the system yet for it to be considered like a true production environment, that you can just finish anything. But it has been getting closer and closer. Like Soft Clipper got added, so you could do some interesting clipping for finishing stuff. And the synthesizer plugins have been a welcome addition as well. But it has been feeling the limit of the processing power. Again, you can only have 8 plugins and 8 audio tracks total. And when you max those out, it kind of begins to clip. Like you'll start hearing clicks and pops get introduced. And I noticed this also when in audio interface mode, when I have, say like an interface that has 16 tracks, 16 in and out, I notice I'll start getting more clicks and pops if I'm monitoring more than say 8 tracks at a time. So the CPU limits are kind of reaching the end right there as well for like this specific platform. I'm sure at some point, the platform's going to grow. There's going to be better hardware and all that stuff. But as it is right now, it's in this weird spot. MPC3 doesn't fully work yet. Like I love the tools that they're adding, and I actually do like the workflow changes that they've added as well. But man, it is buggy, missing time signatures, no support on the PC as well. And I definitely don't mean to make this video to sound like I'm like bagging on MPC3 at all, because like I said, I really like it. I have been using it, and I appreciate where Akai is taking the platform to be like a true production center that's all in one. It actually does kind of feel like the future for hardware is going that way. With like the Push 3 from Ableton being all inclusive, the hardware version. MPC really is in a position to be able to take that spot and turn it into a full-on production center with hardware advances and all that. So it's actually pretty cool to see audio production world, creativity evolve more towards like your instrument is truly going to produce the whole song. Now I know for a fact that Akai doesn't have a giant team working on the software. I believe it's just, a small team that's actually putting out updates. So there's only so many hours in the day that several people can do to work on the software. So I understand that, and I'm not expecting them to have like a team of 100 people all cracking down on the software. But it would be nice to have this stuff relatively soon, like the bugs worked out. I do not want to be in front of the Key 61 and have the system lock up and crash just because maybe I introduced an audio track or I was about to record something in an audio track. By the way, that's where I've been seeing most of the crashes, is when I use an audio track. So unfortunate, really. But yeah, that's my rant. That's how I'm feeling about MPC3 so far. I actually really like the platform, but it's buggy and it's missing some crucial things. And I feel like I'm in this weird limbo state of, is it a beta? Is it official? Not really. I mean, I want to use it, but I can't do 6/8 time. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling. I have been seeing a lot of comments already from that video of how to downgrade to MPC2. So I know a lot of people are feeling somewhat similar things. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you do happen to be purchasing any new gear and use my affiliate links below, then it directly supports the channel. So thank you very much if you do that. And obviously like and subscribe and all that goes a long way. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you next time for another one. Peace.